So I'm going to sell my Xmid one, and I'm going to tell you why. I own the X Dome as well, and I've slept this exact same spot with the X Dome, so there are nice little comparisons I could do between the two. The reason I bought the Xmid, if you already had an X Dome, why are you buying this Xmid one? Simple reason is I have a through hike coming up in September. And while I do love the X Dome, it's a great for bike packing. I'm actually doing that right now. I decided to do a shakedown ride with the Xmid. Since why not? I'm going to be on a tour starting in a week, so I don't have many weeks that I can, get used to this tent. But why did you buy it? Because of that through hike that I'm going to be doing. I know this is an innovative tent that'll have innovations, and it's super popular. I'm going to tell you why I'm going to sell it, because it's not for me. One of the first things that I noticed is this is the exact same site I was at about 2 weeks ago, and it is a big tent. I had set it up a bunch of times in fields, or while hiking, I would bring the fly with me, like if I was doing day hikes, so that then if it rained, I could set it up and have like a shelter, and that came in really useful actually. When you're setting up in the grass, or if you're setting it up like in your backyard, yeah, it's easy to set up. It's quick, you get a nice pitch, and it doesn't seem that big, to be honest. And I kept on reading online, I'm like, yeah, it's not that big. The second you put in some boundaries and some natural boundaries, you really see how huge of a tent this is. This is a massive one-person tent. This is bigger than my Hubba Hubba two-place tent, and the Hubba Hubba has much more livable room. And I hiked the Wanda Fuca with the Hubba Hubba way back in the day, maybe over a decade ago, and I had like a palace of space, and it would be annoying to get into spots as well. But since it was freestanding, you could kind of just move it around and kind of finagle it into weird spaces. Not saying that the Hubba Hubba is better than this tent, of course. Just kind of give you some perspective that I've used other tents that were huge. But once you put in, natural barriers, like there's this sumac here, I put these like trees and rocks and other things, like it really, you notice the size of it. And the setup, once you start getting less than ideal setup conditions, it becomes kind of a faff to set up. With this loose gravel, it was really kind of a pain to set up. And it's not, look at the pitch is pretty bad, I'm going to be honest with you. So, other things that I'm noticing really right off the bat. One thing, I'm not quite sure. I mean, I love the color of Durston tents, so Dan, please, if you're watching this, don't change the color. Actually, I'm a big fan of muted tones. I'm happy they became popular for a while, and I know we're shifting out of the muted tone era, but I'm happy that, Black Diamond jumped on the train. You can see my bike is completely muted tones. Everything I have is muted because I like to kind of blend in, especially if I'm doing stealth camping, but even without that, I like to listen to the birds, be one with nature kind of thing, and I don't want to stand out. And when I'm here, I want to spend that time looking at these beautiful views. That's what I want to do. But something about this material, especially in this tent, is the tent is dark inside. When I was here the other day and I had my X Dome, I was like, same temperature, same day, same light. I was in my tent. I guess it's because the arching poles, it feels so much brighter. It's like a cathedral inside. So I actually was just lying down on my mattress and reading inside. While now I'm sitting on my ground chair. So when bike packing, the X Dome is amazing because you have that extra space, and you also have a little bit more of like a lip with the fly, so that you can kind of like tuck in real close if it's just drizzling a little bit. You can even sit, you can do it in this one too, but you're blocking the door, and it's kind of like smaller, but you can sit and kind of get out of the rain. So the reason when I'm bike packing, I always bring a chair, because your butt is your main point of contact with the world pretty much. So you want something that you don't want to be sitting on hard ground after you've done an 8-hour day on the saddle. And if you are, then you're a sadomasochist. So I like bringing the ground chair, or if I know that if I'm doing parks and national parks and stuff, I'll bring just a big foamy that I'll put on picnic tables and stuff, but always to have something soft on your butt. Last time I was here with the X Dome, as I was saying, nothing softer than your sleeping pad, and I was just lying on the sleeping pad the entire time, reading, having a blast. This time, I went in, and it just feels dark and claustrophobic. The view is not great out of the tent. So yeah, for bike packing, it's a no-no. So, okay, why are you selling it? You said you're going to have it for hiking. The other thing is the amount of wasted space. It is a tiny space, and you can see just the huge amount of space that's inaccessible at this time, and I find that kind of useless. Also, the vestibule. The vestibule and the X-Dome, like I cook in it and whatnot. This one, while I'm certain you can cook in it, it's just, especially with the not having the extra zipper here to pull away this area, you're kind of cooking around the mesh. So you have to be like out of the tent almost to cook and stuff. So I've just been throwing stuff in here. One other difference, especially when bike packing, is I like to hook my panniers, my micro panniers up in my vestibule so that the ground is clean. I don't like just having stuff on the ground if it rains, and also like just disorganized. In my Xmid, I actually connected wires between the fly and the inner, and I hook up everything here, so everything's hanging in there. You can't really do the same here. I guess you could hang one pack, but it's, as I said, this isn't a bike packing tent, so why are you saying these criticisms? I'm just showing you like other things of if I'm going to be bike packing with someone else, would I bring this? I have a tour coming up with a whole bunch of friends where we're all going to a same campsite, and I was going to use this tent and lend another one out to another friend. I know that I'm going to be sacrificing some of the creature comforts that I got used to with my X-Dome. So the inside, as I said, just feels very dark for some reason. I'm not quite sure. I think it's just the way it's shaped and the way light comes in. When it comes to space, I mean, it has beautiful pockets. These are amazing pockets. I'm happy with those. These little like slit pockets. It has pockets there. It's great. But there's not much usable space. Like I have a 25-inch pad. Yes, there are little places above my head that I could throw a cell phone or at the foot. But the thing about the foot is how do you access it when you're out of the tent? The zipper goes to here. You can barely access it. It just makes it annoying. Where on the X-Dome, you open that zipper and you could have all your storage, keep everything inside. Everything is tucked away. It's super organized and clean. And that's just not happening here. And the other thing, so I know a lot of these things are like, okay, well, you're really, really using bike packing as your main metric of comparison. I got you. But one, I want to be able to use it for more than just hiking. And two, there are other things that I'm noticing that will definitely affect me while I'm hiking. One is the size of the pad. I'm in the Northeast, right? We do not have huge campsites up here unless you're going to like a national park. If you're doing any trails like le Sentier National, or if you're doing like le Sentier Frontalier ou le Traversée de Charlevoix, any of those are, there might be one camping pad, but if you're more than one person, this tent is that you are being greedy with the size of the tent space you're going to be taking on that pad. I used to use a hubba while hiking as well. So I had the hubba, then I used the hubba for a long time too. And I could fit 2 hubbas in here. So I have friends that hike with, and they have a hubba, and we could definitely fit both our hubbas in the space of this Xmid one. So this thing is gigantic. The second thing is the 2 poles. So I've heard a lot of people say that they're scared that if a pole breaks, the 2 poles is an issue. I guess so. Yeah, that's right. Like I was a guide for a long time. The amount of poles that I've gotten destroyed because there's like a client that really didn't bring enough gear and they're struggling. So you lend them a pole and you get the freaking pole with the bent shaft and it won't stick anymore. Yeah, of course, that's a thing. But for me, it's just the extra bout of effort and the fact that I have to have both poles on me all the time. So summer, really hot hiking, and if you're not doing huge elevation gains or going down crazy scrambling, maybe you only want to have 1 pole. Yeah, great. What if you're going to a campsite and you want to set up and then you want to go for a little day hike? I love hiking 1 pole. I don't mind bringing 2 to set up a shelter, but the thing is now I'm like limited that I can't even use my poles. So I think you're right. This is a thing to do with freestanding versus trekking pole tents. But I've been looking at the Z-Packs Solo, and that makes a lot more sense for my use case personally when it comes to hiking. One, I'm through hiking probably with people. I tend to bike pack alone, but I tend to hike in groups because that was what I am. I'm a certified hiking guide, so I'm used to bringing people with me. And normally I put them ahead of me to make sure that they have the nicest sights, and then I get whatever's left over. And with this, there's no way that I can go last. I need to go first if I'm going to set up. On a deck or a platform, I'd be taking the entire platform pretty much with some like fishbone anchors or something. So yeah, it's just way too big. Like if the tent were cut in half there, it would be great. Like right now, I know this is subjective, I feel like it's 2 solo plexes back to back, and that's how big it is. But it's a single person tent, and then when you're on the inside, I have just as much space, except for the head and the foot, which I'll admit are longer, but they're kind of like places, like, are you going to use your foot, maybe throwing your bag down there? And the head, yeah. Like, I have as much space as I had in my hubba. Smaller tent, and I had as much space. This is almost like bivy-esque inside, except for the height. Like, you don't have a lot of actual good space. The other thing is when you're in the tent, the place you're most likely to sit, which is the middle when you get up, and that's your view. So you need to get out of your sleeping bag, shimmy up, and move to the right to be able to get a view. And that's like, isn't that why we do it, y'all? Isn't it when we hike, it's for the views, right? But yeah, I had the same thing with the tarp tent. Ooh, I can't remember it. Wasn't that not the rainbow? Oh, I can't remember the name of that tent, but it's one I took on a thru hike in Norway. Was that to see a view, you had to be lying down in bed at the exact right angle, like here, great angle. And I got rid of that tent right away because I was like, I'm killing myself doing these hikes, and then in the morning I have to step outside when there's mosquitoes to see the view. And since I'm Canadian, yeah, I have to think about mosquitoes a lot. So yeah, see, like that area, it's great. Vestibule space is good and all, but like I don't need that much vestibule space. And if I were to get the solo, yeah, there's gonna be missing things. Like I don't think it has the magnet toggles, which I mean, I'm getting addicted to the magnet toggles, but I think the industry is now shifting to also being addicted to magnet toggles. And I'll probably have a smaller vestibule in the Soloplex, but the entire tent is so small, the use case makes sense. Like you're going fast and light. Here it's like massive palace, but most of the space I can't use or access. Or is kind of useless space for me, right? So if I were to just cut off all the back of here, I'm pretty much then in a Soloplex or like a mid from Hyperlight Mountain Gear. And then you have all the space. There's a reason why those tents are extremely popular. And I think the reason why this is popular is the same reason I bought this tent. It's because it's so cheap. It has some great designs. And Dan, I think he did some great work here. But as Dan said, to design this tent, what he did is he did a principle of design, and he said, okay, let's parameterize things. Let's say I have to use both poles. What is it that I can do? And he said once he put himself in the position that he had to use both poles, and he set himself at a diagonal, the tent kind of designed itself. It was the only way to do it. But it's kind of like, hard to find a good analogy here, but it's like saying, oh, I have to do this because I have this. But it's like, you've just set yourself into a corner. Why do I have to have both poles be part of the shelter? If you were to take away one pole, I think the other tents have kind of peaked and have found exactly the best design. I know they were a little bit tricky to set up, but this tent, because of the space it takes, it's tricky to set up. I know people love this tent. I know there's a million people who have it, like on the AT and whatnot. But I think a lot of settings, people are setting up in groomed campsites, flat areas, right out of town. For my style of hiking, as I said, normally with a group, there's not a lot of space. These little like tucked in areas is the kind of place we would be hiking in. Ridge lines, or I'm doing like stealth stuff. Like if I'm going super ultralight, maybe doing some stealth camping as well. Yeah, this tent is just way too big. And I'm just hoping I could find someone who wants to buy it. So if you want to buy it, by all means, give me a holler. I think I'm gonna take the money from this and I'm just gonna go buy a Z-Packs. I know they're crazy expensive, but I think for my use case, we're gonna be people. I'm gonna be through hiking. There's gonna be not a lot of space. You know, the northeast of Canada. Yeah, you want a small tent. And just looking at the dimensions one last time from the outside. So I feel like we don't often see Xmids in situations like this. Normally people are in a field like in the UK and, you know, they've hiked like 4 kilometers and they're like, look at my Xmid. Yeah, like when you see it here, no hate to my UK buddies, my best friends from the UK. Yeah, you see like the tent looks really freaking huge and there's just a lot of wasted space. So part of me was thinking, okay, this could be my winter tent and maybe I'll keep it for that. But do I want to spend like all that time like flattening down a site perfectly and then like dealing with the poles and maybe like stuff sacks full of snow so that the poles will stay? and then dead man anchors on everything for a shelter that ostensibly, like, I think it's like 100 grams difference between the X Dome and the Xmid, or I could just bring my Xmid and make that my winter tent, and then I still use my poles to make it more storm worthy. So yeah, I think the X Dome is like the perfect all-around tent, and for specific hiking use cases, especially in my specific hiking use case, if I need a specific quiver, arrow in my quiver, it's gonna be something more like a Z-Pax. Yeah, so hopefully this helped out somebody with your decision making. And hopefully these angles are helping a little bit. I know that online people are always showing angles that are like in a field, and it's really hard to really get a sense of this. Here, like a Helinox chair for scale. I don't have a banana. But there you go. Really see the size of it. It is as wide as my bike, I would say. So yeah, thanks for listening. Just proof that we're in Canada. The geese are out. Just lovely. Okay, have a great day, everybody.